My 28M wife, 28F, cheated on me with my best friend, 29M, by driving 2 states over to meet him in a hotel while leaving me and my son for a week with no contact. So I just found out my wife cheated on me with my best friend and I am still in shock. We've been married for 8 years and have a 3-year-old son. It's been a turbulent marriage, but in the end we've always pulled through anything we faced. One issue in our marriage has been my depression and PTSD. I've been fighting my depression for years and finally seeing a doctor for my mental health as of February of this year. I was stationed in Korea with this friend between 2013 to 2014 and haven't seen him since. He came by to visit and stay 1 week while we hanged out and traveled and talked. I had 2 arguments with my wife while he was here in regards to parenting and some of her decision making. In the end he noticed we are having marital issues. He eventually left and stopped contacting me, and about last Wednesday I come home from work and see a letter from my wife that she needs to be separated from me and not to contact her. She eventually comes back this Tuesday and said she traveled and thought about our marriage. I feel asleep on the couch and wake up at 2 AM this morning since my dog is scratching the door to go outside. I see light in our bedroom and she's asleep but her phone is on. I reach to it so I can put it in charge mode and see she's messaging someone that's labeled as Apollo in her contacts. It was a deep message history and I could not believe it. She complained about my depression, about how she wants to escape this relationship and how helpful he was while he stayed at our house. He calls her darling, told her what hotel to meet and she drove out there abandoning me and our son. I called him the day she left and he told me to see mental health and that he's sorry, and in the messages he told her I called and that I have no idea. She's still sleeping and I'm lost for words. I don't know what to do. I feel betrayed and sad for my son since I grew up a single child with no dad. I feel bad my son might have to experience that. I would appreciate any advice on what I can do. This is a deep wound that is hard to handle. And now for some top comments before the next story. Please do what everyone is saying and take screenshots and get in contact with a lawyer. Don't let your depression get the best of you and do nothing because you don't want your son to grow up without her. She made that decision by cheating on you. You will find someone else. Why would your son have to grow up with no dad? You're the dad. Make sure that doesn't happen. OP, remember, she abandoned you and your son. Have your lawyer use that in the custody hearings. There's no reason she should get more custody than you, especially after that. Do this right now before she wakes up. If you confront her about this, she will just delete and deny everything and it's your word against theirs. With everything backed up, it will be harder for her to lie her way out of it and gaslight her. If possible, don't tell her anything. Take this information and see a lawyer. Find out what your options are and what a divorce would look like in terms of finance custody. Use this time to gather more evidence from their chats. As for your child, yes, a divorce will make him upset, but in the long term it is better for him to have 2 happy divorced parents than one who is miserable and another who is leaving for days at a time to have sex with other people. You can use the fact she abandoned you and the child for a week to cheat on you as grounds for custody, or at least ensure a fair equity of the child's time. Even if you decide to reconcile, I would start it off with handing her divorce separation papers. Nothing snaps a WS out of an affair fog than finding out that their clever ruse is discovered and they are going to lose their nice safe spot. Demand that she go to IC to figure out for herself why she thought she was empowered to break her marriage vows, and if you are not already in therapy for your depression PTSD, I would recommend you do that, plus your feelings of betrayal. A good therapist can really help out with the trauma that most betrayed spouses go through and will give you good tools to help trust issues from spilling over into other parts of your life. Other than that, all I can say is my hopes and prayers are with you and your son. And now for the next story. MF. I fucked my ex-BF's dad in a kohls, 27F. So a couple months ago I flew home for a funeral, stayed with my parents for a few nights, ended up going to a kohls to grab a few things, and randomly ran into one of my ex's dad. Hadn't seen him in almost 7 years, but he instantly recognized me. Made some small talk for a while. He couldn't help but compliment over and over on how I looked, how I've grown, and how much he missed me being around the house. He had always eyed me back when I was dating Dan, his son, back in high school. He was a younger dad, in his late 30s when I was dating Dan. It was honestly great to see him, and he lost a ton of weight, seriously gotten into shape. I had a few items in my hand. We talked for a bit, and I helped him pick out a few things for himself. Then he helped me pick out a few things as well. I couldn't help but be a little flirty. After a bit longer, he offered to buy what I had found. As I remember, he was always really generous, Of course I said that would be great. When we got to the changing rooms, I asked if he wanted to wait outside while I tried on a few outfits to show him. He definitely didn't have an issue with that. Tried on 2 different blouses. He liked them both. The third thing I changed into was a cute yellow and white sundress. It was literally the only thing I had on. His jaw dropped when I walked out. After doing a quick twirl for him, even with him sitting down, he didn't try whatsoever to hide what was growing in his shorts. Reaching for his hand, I pulled him up off the chair and asked him to join me in the changing room. It caught him slightly off guard. He told me he was still married to Sue, but that didn't keep him from walking into the dressing room with me. As soon as the door closed behind us, I asked if he could help me take off my dress. It took him a few moments, but soon enough the dress was on the floor, and I stood naked in front of him. Stepping closer to him, feeling the bulge in his shorts against my abs, I told him this can be our little secret. He seriously didn't say a word. His hands, however, slowly reached for my thighs, working their way up my sides, then finally grasping my tits. I remember asking him if he liked what he saw, and all he could respond with was a nod. After a few more seconds, I got down on my knees and slowly unbuttoned and unzipped his shorts. I could already tell he was much larger than Dan. Pulling his boxers down literally made his cock spring up so fast he hit my chin. He was a hell of a lot thicker and a bit longer than Dan. After about a minute or two of working his cock into my mouth, his hands ended up behind my head, pushing himself in deeper. Looking up at him, I could tell he was seconds away from cuming. Not wanting a mess, my hands reached around his ass, keeping me there, wanting him to come. It wasn't a few seconds later that the back of my throat was filled with warmth. A few seconds after, he was still hard as a rock. I got back up and whispered into his ear to fuck me. He spun me around so fast. The next thing I knew, I was up against the mirror and his cock was sliding between my cheeks. Holy fuck, did he fill me up. He had to wrap his hand around me mouth a few times to keep me from making too much noise. I came twice in a span of 10 minutes, and telling him to come in me, well, that took him over the edge. When all said and done, he helped me get back into my original clothes. I zipped him up and went off to the register, made out with a couple bags of clothes and him still dripping down my leg. And now for some top comments before the final story. Imagine this was all an ad campaign for Kohls. What a plot twist. Don't forget to use your Kohls card for an extra 30% off. Hahaha, I do work in marketing, but not for Kohls. So who was better, the dad or the son? Honesty, the dad. And now for the final story. My brother is grieving and heartbroken, but I can't sympathize because in my eyes, he's in the wrong spelling and grammar mistakes ahead. My brother, M25, had a girlfriend, Sasha F24. When they met 4 years ago, my brother had some serious addiction issues and was asking for money left, right and center. When he met Sasha, she convinced him to get help. He got cleaned up, was doing better in school, and was overall doing better in life. A year and a month ago, it was revealed that my brother was having an affair with someone from work. His affair partner, Hap, is rude, condescending and just all round an ugly person. When he and Sasha spilt, and Hap went around bragging about her new man and how he'd be the perfect dad. Yes, he got the ugly thing pregnant, though she ended up giving up the child. My brother was constantly complaining about how miserable he was with Sasha and how she was a bore, that he was 10x happier with Hap. Unfortunately, not long ago Sasha got incredibly sick. 2 days before dying, she was diagnosed with a rare form of leukemia. She died in her sleep. She was beautiful, loving, kind and compassionate. 4 days ago my brother showed up at my parents' house. I'm here due to renovations. He was at the doorstep crying, holding a box and a small bag. My parents let him in, and when I went downstairs he was on his knees crying, with my parents holding him and confronting him. He sounded as if he was in physical pain. He's been here since and he struggles to get out of bed, to eat and to drink. My mother came to me and asked if I would give him some comfort, saying that he would love to have some comfort from his sister. I said sure, but when she left I just sat in my room. I don't feel any sympathy for my brother. He chose to cheat. He said all those horrible things. He made the choice to treat someone who loved him like garbage. The box he brought was filled with scraps and things, photo booth images of them both, a promise ring, postcards, key and lock rings etc. He spends most of the day looking at her photos and crying. I'm not too sure on how I should go further. I want to comfort my brother, but I have absolutely no sympathy. Sasha was an angel and he disregarded and disrespected her. Should I just straight up avoid my brother? PLS, give advice. Danky. And now for some closing comments. As cliche as it sounds, we never really know what we have until it's gone. You were fortunate you saw Sasha's value when she was still alive. Your brother on the other hand had to go through this in order to realize what he had. I understand your anger, but he can't get any more lower at this point. There's no point in kicking someone who's already on the ground. It's your choice to refuse to comfort or even forgive him, but just don't do anything spiteful that will contribute to the pain, guilt, regret, and grief he's already facing. For the sake of the times you only wanted, maybe even still want, the best for him, I wish more people would understand what they have before they lose it. He made his choice. He doesn't get to go back and treat her the way he should have. Honestly, I hope he changes how he lives his life moving forward. The cynic in me thinks he's going to grieve over this for a long time. And he should. It's possible to recognize someone's pain and still not support or enable bad behavior. There's a way to be positive and supportive without endorsing his mistakes. You're upset about Sasha. Would you like to talk about it? Sure. Your brother sounds like he was an arsehole to Sasha. His pain, however, seems genuine. Just because he fucked up, that doesn't mean he's not hurt. This is an important moment in his life. There is nothing wrong with acknowledging his pain without criticizing his past behavior while it's raw. I've noticed in my 40 odd years that regret is among the hardest emotions to express to someone else, and some folks will never accept it as sincere. Well, you shouldn't have done that. Then maybe you wouldn't feel so bad. You made your bed, so just shut the fuck up and lie in it. You don't have to be there for your brother, but I'm of the opinion that you should make an effort. Supporting a loved one isn't always easy. It's the times when it's hard that matter most. Good luck. Yes, he did wrong by her, but he is grieving her loss nonetheless. If he had this reaction after seeing Sasha with someone else, then I would support what OP is saying. But Sasha died. Him leaving her had nothing to do with her death. It's like OP is saying you dumped her so you never loved her. You don't have the right to grieve her loss, which is a really bad way to look at this. So what do you guys think? Leave your comments down below, and don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on the bell notification for future videos. In the meantime, check out these amazing stories. Peace.